This is Module 3, Week 2. In this lecture, we will define a community of practice and we will discuss how the development of a community of practice can enhance teaching in mathematics. In last week's lecture, we looked at the elements of effective professional development. We discussed how professional development delivered within the context of the school rather than externally can be more effective than PD that is externally delivered. An important element of an effective PD program within a school is the development of a community of practice. Communities of practice are formed by people who engage in a process of collective learning in a shared domain of human endeavour. In your case, a group of teachers in a school where the goal is to educate children and achieve the best learning outcomes possible. Anthropologists Slave and Wenger coined the term community of practice while studying apprenticeship as a learning model. Although we usually think of apprenticeship as a student and teacher relationship, studies of apprenticeship reveal a complex set of social relationships through which learning takes place. The term community of practice was coined to refer to the community that acts as a living curriculum for the apprentice. Communities of practice are groups of people who share a concern or a passion for something they do and learn how to do better as they interact regularly. The concept of communities of practice also provides a useful perspective on knowing and learning, and a growing number of people and organisations, not just schools, are now focusing on building communities of practice as a way to improve performance. However, not everything called a community is a community of practice. There are three characteristics that are crucial. First, there is the domain. A community of practice has an identity defined by a domain and therefore a shared competence that distinguishes its members from other people. The second characteristic is the community. Members of a community of practice engage in joint activities and discussions, help each other and share information. They build relationships that enable them to learn from each other and care about their standing with each other. We could consider our online group within this course to be a community of practice. The third characteristic is the practice. Members of a community of practice are practitioners. They develop a shared repertoire of resources, experiences, stories, tools, ways of addressing recurring problems, a shared practice. This requires time and sustained interaction, which is why the idea of sustained professional development is more effective than one-off events. It's the combination of these three characteristics that constitute a community of practice. Wenger's social theory of learning related the development of identity and communities of practice. According to Gutenberg and Zevenbergen, within this perspective, identity is a constant process of becoming, where an individual continually negotiates who they are through their practices as they become and belong to a community. So why think about a community of practice within the context of mathematics? Consider your current context and the characteristics of that context. What makes it work? Or what doesn't work? Do the teachers have shared understandings of the mathematics curriculum? Do they use the same language in relation to teaching and learning mathematics? Does the school have a shared philosophy of teaching mathematics that has been mutually agreed upon? How do you nurture and develop beginning teachers in your school? What kinds of support are available to keep teachers up to date with curriculum and pedagogical developments? Most importantly, are students hearing consistent messages about mathematics as they progress through the school? Do the mathematics pedagogies flow from one grade to another? The answers to these questions provide good reasons for developing a community of practice in mathematics at your school. This week's reading, Chapter 5 of Becoming a Primary Mathematics Specialist Teacher, builds on the idea of developing a community of practice by exploring mentoring and coaching. What do these terms mean to you? How are they similar? And how are they different? Mentoring and/or coaching should be developed to occur within your community of practice and should be accessible to all teachers, not just the early career teachers and not just those who are struggling with mathematics. Please take the time to read this chapter and think about the reflection prompts that are posed throughout the chapter. In this week's meeting, we'll discuss your experiences of mentoring and coaching and the potential for you to establish these types of relationships in your contexts.